Good day, and thank you for reaching out to Roof Hugger for pricing of a retrofit framing system for your upcoming project. My name is Dale Nelson, and I'd like to take maybe 5 minutes of your time to show you what we need to get you the best and most accurate pricing we can. Since you've come to Roof Hugger to get pricing, I'm going to assume you know how they're installed and many of the details relate to it. However, should you be unsure about any of this, please go to our website, and the design and installation manual will be there under the resources tab, ready to download so you can look at it if you like. A couple of basic things you should know about our pricing. Roof huggers are actually sold by the lineal foot and not by the square, so asking us for a price for a 200 or even a 3,000 square project will not help us to price it. Pricing is a function of the steel stretch out of the huggers and the total lineal foot needed. Taller parts are obviously more expensive than lower parts, but as the lineal foot quantity increases, the price per lineal foot actually decreases. The stretch out of the huggers is determined by a couple of things. First, the height of the existing panel ribs. Next, the thickness of any required insulation. And finally, the height of any additional framing that is needed to reduce the purlin spacing in the corners and edges to meet the IBC code. We estimate huggers in two different ways. Component pricing only, where we do not check the IBC code requirements and assume the panel will meet all the loads on the existing purlin spacing. These quotes generally take 2 to 3 days. If you're in a bind, give us a ring, we'll see what we can do. The next way we estimate is a preliminary load design estimate, where we actually look up the current IBC code requirements for wind and snow in your area and do a preliminary estimate based on our findings. Although we do our best, we are not engineers, and the quote will still be subject to final engineering. But unless there's something unusual about the building or the area you're in, our quotes are extremely accurate and pretty reliable. So these quotes take on average 3 to 5 days, so allow a little time to get that done. The two forms are located on our Get a Quote tab on our website. Download them and email them to us at sales@roofhugger.com. Or alternately, you can actually scroll down a bit farther from the forms and then fill out the information we need and email it directly to us. This is what the component-only form looks like. The first area is your contact information, so we can get back in touch with you via phone or email. The next area is the project identifier, so project name or project number as you prefer. And then the next area is the ship to information, so we know how to estimate the freight to get the materials to you. And then finally, in this upper area, this is the amount of subpurlins needed based on your estimate. Next, we need to know what kind of panel we're retrofitting. This first area is for standing seam. If that's what you have, fill out the panel dimensions, so which panel it is, and most importantly, is it on a low clip or a tall clip? Those two different types of standing seams require two different types of roof huggers, so we need to know that information. So if you're unclear whether you have a low or tall clip, call us, we can help you identify it. If it's a screw down panel, that information is down here. Just give us the panel dimensions, fill them up there. And finally, is there a spec on the height of the hugger that's there for some other reason? Sometimes there may be an insulation spec. Sometimes you maybe try to take the step out of a lean-to. So if you got a lean-to on the side that's maybe an inch or two below the eave, we can make a taller hugger than we do for the upper area, and then put the entire roof in the same plane. So that may be of helpful to you on some projects. A couple things to remember: your quote will include the hugger subpurlins, of course, the fasteners, the freight. It'll include sales tax if you're in Florida, Indiana, Texas, or Washington. Otherwise, the tax is paid by the contractor. And finally, we exclude engineering, rake angles, or any other accessory items. Simply sign that form and email it to us at sales@roofhugger.com. or fax it to our toll-free 877-202-2254 fax number. This is what our preliminary design quote form looks like. We're going to ask you the same basic information as we did in the component form, except this time we really do need the project address so we can Google Earth the building for some design purposes. Next, we need to know if this is a plan and spec project. If so, we need to know how to get hold of those plans and specifications if you did not include them. And we also need to know the bid date so we can get the quote back to you in plenty of time for you to bid it. The next area is where we ask you for the building geometry, the width, the length, and the eave height. And remember, in metal building speak, the width is the dimension across the gable and the length is along the eave line or the gutter line. Purlin spacing, we need to know the number of purlin lines on each struts, the building usage, and any insulation specification there may be. Next, tell us what you know for the code requirements. Wind speed, snow load, or any special requirements, our solar panels being added, and that kind of stuff. Importantly, tell us what the new panel you plan to use is going to be and the gauge of that new panel so we can check those test values against the code requirements. The next part of the form is basically describing the existing panel to us exactly the same as you did in the component only quote. This quote will include the Hugger sub-purlins, the Hugger sub-rafters if they're required, hat sub-rafters, hat sub-purlins if required, fasteners. It'll include third-party engineering and plans for the subframing system. It does not include the panel layout and installation details, which are normally provided by the panel supplier. The freight will be included in sales tax in Florida, Indiana, Texas, and Washington. If you're not in one of those states, then you will be responsible for the sales tax as before. And also, we do still exclude rake angles, hip valley plates, angles, any other accessories not stated as being included. A couple things to remember when quoting retrofit. Don't make the mistake of guessing what the existing roof panel profile is. Different panels require different roof huggers, and they may not be the same price, specifically because we mass produce some price, but we have to custom fabricate others. You don't get a 12-inch on center price when you've got a 9 or 10-inch on center rib panel. The pricing absolutely is going to change. Also, don't guess at the purlin spacing because, as you might imagine, the quantity will change. Basic rule here is do your homework on the front end and avoid any surprises on the back end. Do you need rake angle or valley angle or hip plates or valley ridge plates or anything like that? Most of this stuff is off-the-shelf items that your panel supplier or metal building supplier is going to have. If they don't, let us know and we can probably handle that for you. Again, thank you for taking a few minutes to learn how to get the best and most accurate pricing from us. And as always, if you're unsure about anything, pick up the phone, give us a call at our 800 number. Someone is going to answer the phone and we're going to be happy to help you. Again, take care. Thanks for checking us out. Bye-bye.